Hello, and welcome to this new episode where we will be taking a look at the new editing capability inside of SAS Visual Analytics and actually get to talk to one of the developers behind it. Then we will take a look at new features available in SAS Information Catalog, in SAS Studio, and so much more. So let's get going. Here we are inside of SAS Visual Analytics, where we will be taking a look at the new feature that has been added. For that, you have to be in the editing mode of the report, and of course, you need to be able to have the editing capability and also write to the underlying data source. So you can't write to tables that you don't know, and you can't use this feature if you aren't an editor based on the capability. But let's take a look at it. Go to the data source menu and then click on View Release Notes Source Table. And the release notes is your table name in that case. And that brings up this View Source Table pop-up. Now, we have taken a look at this in a previous episode, but now it has been enhanced so that we can click, for example, into a cell and we can change the numbers here. If we found a mistake or we want to update a value to reflect changes over time, we can do this now. In addition, you can also right-click a whole row and say insert a row above or below, or even go ahead and delete a row. So you can see we have a lot of possibilities here. We can also just highlight a row. We can, for example, cut it out of the data set and paste it back in, for example. Or we can go ahead and say, let's add an additional row above. We are going to call this the 10. We give this a fun category, and we are editing like pros. And now we can go ahead and just save this table. You see the location again, so you could also save a copy of that table. We are clicking save, and now it warns us, hey, if you do this, this might also change other content, and we can click on that and say, hey, you can use this as lineage to see what this report, also how the data was created, for example, and dive into that. We are gonna hit yes, and now the actual changes we applied are saved both in the in-memory table and in the underlying data source. So whether that's a database or it's a path-based library, it doesn't matter. It's saved for you in this case. What else can we do in here? We can, of course, also go ahead and add an additional column to the left or right to this table and start filling that out. And we can also add labels from in here. This is an amazing feature when you are inside of SAS Visual Analytics and you are renaming the different data items. Then why not go ahead, if you think it's a valuable label that others would profit from, go ahead and add that label right from SAS Visual Analytics. Amazing feature to improve your data quality. Now, instead of continuing on with the show as we usually do, we are going to jump into an interview with Scott Leslie, who is the developer of this feature. See you on the other side. So, now that we just saw this awesome new capability in action, I have the pleasure to introduce you to Scott Leslie, who is Senior Manager in our R&D unit and the head behind this feature. And we are here to chat a bit about what's this feature all about. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks, David.
I want to start things off with asking what prompted you to design this new feature?
Originally, Dr. Goodnight requested a modern way to edit SAS data on the web. My manager, Jeff Diamond, got this request and offered my team a chance to work on the project. This is something that I'd wanted to work on for quite some time, so it seemed like a good fit. My team works on general components that are used across solutions at SAS.
That's cool. And did you develop it or think about already some potential use cases that you see for our customers to use this in?
Yeah, I see a lot of potential use cases. The primary use case in visual analytics is, of course, viewing the data underlying the report to validate values and quickly browse the data to verify suitability for your reporting purposes. Most users in an enterprise will only have view capability, so reviewing data is the primary use case. You can still do a number of things like sort and filter your data while you're viewing it to help you narrow down the data to validate it. But for users with edit capability, I believe that'll be very useful for tweaking data used in a report. Say the data has some inconsistencies or outliers you want to exclude. You can fix the inconsistencies in an individual values, perform find and replace operations, and remove outlier rows. With edit capabilities, you can also add columns for descriptions, labels, or other information that might not be available in the source table.
Yeah, I really like the capability of being able to add descriptions and labels. I think that is often missing and really helpful if someone picks up the mantle to do it. So,
Yeah.
so what are your future plans for this feature?
Oh, we have a lot of future plans and ideas. One thing we're really interested in, though, is user feedback. What really works well for you and what doesn't. We work very closely with our product management team to evaluate feedback and prioritize features being implemented. You'll no doubt see a variety of new editing capabilities that operate on whole columns. We have a few right now to uppercase and do things to whole columns, but we'll be adding more of those features. We also want to continue to focus on performance and scaling to handle larger data sets. We handle very large data sets right now, but we want to handle even larger ones in the future.
That's cool to hear that there's even more to come.
Yes.
While developing this feature, what was maybe the most interesting technical challenge for you?
Yeah, I'd say the find and replace feature on values in a column was the most technically challenging and interesting. It seems very straightforward, but it's challenging due to the variety of date, time, timestamp values, and the numerous formats that SAS supports. So it wasn't just replacing part of a text string with another part of a text string. It's actually replacing values that make sense as a date or time or timestamp in that process.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a bit more than just hitting Control F. And moving away from technical challenges, was there some non-technical challenge that you find very interesting that you came across while developing this feature?
Yeah, developing components is always an interesting non-technical challenge. Making sure that the data viewer component meets the needs of a variety of solutions that it will be used in was probably the most challenging part of this. SAS Visual Analytics is the first solution you'll see the data viewer in, but you'll also see it in many more in the years to come.
That is so cool to hear. I think a lot of people will appreciate the ability to edit data right from where they are and still be able to only do it if they have the capability and, of course, right access to the data. So
yes,
that's perfect.
Yeah, governance is a key piece of our implementation. So
absolutely. So thank you very much for coming on the show and giving us some more insights on this feature.
yeah, thank you, and I'll enjoy watching the video later.
Thank you so much to Scott for taking the time out of his busy schedule to talk and chat with us about this feature, why it was created, and also giving us a glimpse in what it takes to build such a feature. I think these insights are amazing to see, and also to get to chat with the people behind the SAS software is just a privilege. Let's continue on and look at an additional feature that has been added. For that, we are going to switch to SAS Information Catalog, where we have a new search facet that has been added. Well, to be exact, 4 new search facets have been added. We're gonna type in step, and let's ignore my previous and recent searches and look at the 4 down below. We now get step column, step count, step name, and step type that enable us to search through SAS Studio flows to understand and quickly find flows that use a certain step or a step that uses a certain column, for example. So my favorite one is to search through the step type, and if we go ahead and look at the auto-completion, you can see, of course, you can search through the classics like query, SAS program, load table, all the ones that SAS just ships with out of the box. In addition, you will also see the .step files, and those represent the custom steps that you have imported or created for your own environment. So to find steps that use a specific custom step, now you know how to do it. So you might, if you change a step, you can easily inform people about the updates that actually use that step. Super helpful feature. Another one that I really enjoy is the count feature. So let's say we want to look at flows that have exactly 3 steps in them. And here we can see the list. This is an amazing feature to more quickly gain insights into your environment. And of course, this feature can also be leveraged through the SAS REST APIs. So go nuts. Speaking of steps, we will switch to SAS Studio, where we have 7 new steps made available to us. We have 2 in the machine learning category, Bayesian network and factorization machines. In the optimization and network analysis category, we get connected components, linear assignments, and shortest paths. For text analytics, we have text parsing and text topic mining, text topic discovery. And finally, we have explore data. On this step, I want to put a bit of a spotlight because I really enjoy its functionality and have been using it since it came out. So let me pull up the information about the step. And of course, we first have to provide continuous variables, classification variables, and we also have a group analysis section that we can leverage if we want to. Then we can go into the options tab, where we have a lot of additional capabilities that you can add so you get more visualizations to help you understand your data. And this is just such an awesome tool to quickly gain insights and understand how your variables might be related and correlated on a very easy glance. So I've already connected the cars dataset. I've selected some visualizations I'm interested in. So let's take a look at the results. And here we can see all the different plots that have been generated for us just by filling out this custom step, helping us to quickly understand how the different variables might be related to gain an understanding of our dataset without having to write any code. But if we want the code, you can always go to the code tab and pull the code from here to implement it as part of your larger SAS programs, or continue using the step as a swim lane, for example, and then have your additional SAS Python programs after it. So these are some of my favorite features in this new release 2024.08. Now let's take a look at what the community has contributed over the last month, or some of my highlights at least. First up, stepping into the matrix in SAS, where you all probably know the famous green text scrolling down in the Matrix movies, and here it has been recreated using SAS. Yes, a GIF with vertical scrolling text in SAS. It's a super cool, fun post exploring what's possible if you put your mind to the visualization capabilities of SAS. Next up, we gonna stick with an old adage: if something's broke, I can fix it. If it ain't broke, I'll make it better, giving you a better understanding of how to write with the text analytics capabilities of SAS to write better rules, understand them better, and learn some tips and tricks along the way. Great, insightful post. And the final post I want to highlight is the second part of a blog series, so make sure to check out both, but incorporating generative AI models in SAS visual forecasting, exploring not only how you can build your own open source code node within visual forecasting, but also how you can implement foundational forecasting models within SAS Visual Forecasting. It's a super cool in-depth blog article that you should definitely check out if you're into forecasting. And for the custom step contributions, we first up have detect data drift, enabling you to understand how your data changes over time compared to a previous period. Next up is FTP directory listing. The name is really what it does. It lists all the files within an FTP directory. And hand in hand with that, the next step, FTP download files, to enable you to download files from an FTP server. Super helpful steps that will help you automate more in your work processes. I hope you have enjoyed these updates, and I would love to hear what you think of these new capabilities. See you next time.